Welcome to the channel. You're with Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist. I don't practice as a preacher anymore or a minister, but I'm sharing my years of information and experience through the channels. I want to speak to you quickly about how dangerous, psychologically dangerous, unresolved is in a relationship. And what you'll find, this is what you'll find, where there's unresolved, the first thing you're going to see is confusion. You're going to be confused. And this is the fork in the road where you either try and numb yourself out to it or you confront the issue. I always say confront the issue before the issue confronts you, because it will, at some point, whatever the problem is going to have to be dealt with. I'm speaking from experience because in one of my situations I arranged to meet my second wife at the waterfront for a walk. We're going to go for a walk. My mobile phone had broken. I didn't have communication, and we arranged to meet at 9:30, and I had to pick up to go for a walk, and then I was going to pick up a new mobile phone at 11 o'clock. So all this was arranged, and she went to do something, and then I went to do some training, and then I was to meet her at the waterfront at 9:30. Well, I got to the waterfront at 9:30 and there's no sign of the second wife. And this was quite difficult because I had no communication. I needed to... Big fire up here on the highway. Wow. I had no communication. I needed to work out where she was, and she was nowhere to be found. Now this really troubled me because the arrangements were made. We knew that we were meeting each other at 9:30 at the waterfront, and she was nowhere to be found. Now I had a couple of strange instances with this woman that proved to be quite immature, but I thought we could work around it. Anyway, so to cut a long story short, there's a fire there. Wow, that's unreal. A truck's caught on fire. Oh, it's burning. I wonder if I can get it on. You could just see the flames. Anyway, I better get driving. Hang on, bear with me, viewers. Yeah, we're back on the road again. Now what this caused, see, I've never drank and I've never smoked and all that stuff to keep my mind right because I'm an athlete, and I do a lot of sport, and I was kiteboarding at the time. Now, when my wife didn't turn up, I was in a pretty tough situation because I didn't have her phone. I couldn't work out where she was, and this caused a panic because I had to get to the place where I needed to pick up the mobile phone by 11, and I didn't want to let her down. I don't like letting people down. I just don't like letting people down, and I don't like being let down. So to cut a long story short, I searched around and there was no sign of her. So I proceeded to pick up the mobile phone, and by this time I was pretty troubled. I'll say the word troubled because I couldn't communicate. I didn't know where she was. There was no sign of her. And so I bought the mobile phone and I had to head for home. So I'm walking home because I was on my feet, walking home, and here she is pulling out of the street where we lived. This is true, right? So I've gone up to her sitting in the car and I've gone, oh, why didn't you turn up to the waterfront at 9:30? And she goes, oh, I went shopping to buy a dress. This is true, I went shopping to buy a dress. Now this really threw me off. I've gone, well, where are you going now? She goes, I'm going to take the dress back because it's not what I wanted. I've gone, but we were going to meet down the waterfront at 9:30 and you didn't turn up. And there was total disregard and disrespect to the arrangements that had been made. By this time I was flustered. And you shouldn't let things get you, but this kind of thing from somebody that you trust and rely on was really confusing and troubling. And away she went. I thought, well, this is not how it should be. And I'm watching it and I'm going, what is going on here? Like, I don't understand what's going on here. This woman was completely detached. She was running her own race. She had, I don't know whether it was medication or what, but there was something completely contrary to the spirit of where we were headed. Well, I decided that I may as well go kiteboarding. So I proceeded to go kiteboarding, and while I was out there, I just didn't feel quite right. There was something that just wasn't quite right. I needed to make a decision about what I was going to do, so I decided to come in. I was only out there for about 20 minutes. I did a few jumps and played around a bit, and then I decided to come in. Now, when I come in, I just wasn't quite right because of all this drama and dilemma. And now there's a crash on the highway. Wow, it's all happening because it's a long weekend. Anyway, so I've come in and I've got the kite down. It's got 27 metre long lines, and I wasn't watching, and the kite went into a wind funnel that was coming down a driveway off the sailing club. And I got what's called Superman. The kite took off. I wasn't aware of it. And the next thing, I'm going through the air. Now, this is what happens when your concentration's disrupted psychologically by the ill behaviour, wrong behaviour of these people. So I got Supermaned. 5 metres high and 25 metres across. I come down and broke my arm. I shattered my arm off, broke my arm off, and shattered my ankle, which I'm 4 years down the track from my ankle injury, and it's still, as I speak, I can walk and everything. Like, I've done, I don't know, probably 7k walking today, but it's just not right. It took 2 years to get over the accident. The woman, I chastised her. I said, look, I'm sorry, but this is a consequence of what's happened today, in the sense that you didn't keep the arrangement that we made, and it's caused an accident. Now, you might think, oh, how could that be so? Like, how could it all go that far? Well, this is what can happen. This is what unresolved and things can do. It can cause accidents. It could cause deaths. When people are fart-arsing around with your life. And to cut a long story short, it wasn't long after that. I can remember I was on crutches and in a wheelchair. She tried her best, but she didn't really want to look after me. And then her son moved in. Our son used to come and visit, and I'd be vacuuming the pool on crutches and stuff. He never offered to help. He was not what I would describe as, a example to me for anything, to be honest. He was a nice boy in that, but really blind to responsibility and stuff. And he wasn't. So then he moved in, and she had a couple of major operations, actually, and we had a bit going on. I'm injured, she's been operated on, and all this. And then the next thing, he needs to move in. So I gave all the instructions, and we sat down with him, and you need to do this, you need to do that. Your mum's not your servant, and all this and that, and you need to pay rent. None of which what he did. None of it. So he was 5 weeks behind rent, He was driving me around the wall because he wouldn't contribute to anything. He was one of these kids, if you were having a baked dinner, he'd want to have a bacon sandwich. I kid you not. If we were having a salad, he'd want to have hot chips. I mean, it was just... Then in the middle of this, the daughter decides that she's going on the internet to look at other blokes. And I couldn't work it out because the husband was a great bloke. Her husband was a great bloke. They had a child which we were minding all the time. And she sang at the church and she's on the internet looking for other blokes. I couldn't fathom this out. And so I had to confront her. The mother said to me, we're minding her child all the time. I think she's on the internet chasing other blokes. I've gone, no, she sings. Well, I confronted her. She was a bully of a girl. Bully, complete bully. Very masculine. Well, she got a vendetta against me for doing that. And everything deteriorated from there. I had to ask the lady to house, this is my wife, you're going to have to house your son somewhere else. And so they left and the marriage dissolved and all the rest of it. This is the sort of stuff that can surface after you marry someone. And you're not changing or doing anything wrong. You're trying to manage the dysfunction of these people. And it's quite incredible how dysfunctional people can be. And the cost of it, the expense of it, cost me, I don't want to say, but a lot of money by the time the divorce went through and everything. And I didn't do anything wrong. I was trying to deal with the dysfunction of these people. So be very careful of when you see immaturity or these kind of things in people, because it can get you killed. Because you shouldn't have to deal with people's lack of character and micro-incremental dark triad character traits that are going on from within inside them, because they affect everyone around them, not just the person with them. Once they start dishing them out, it affects everyone around them. So you be careful. Signs of unresolved, signs of immaturity and all that sort of thing, you better put on your thinking cap, because people get hurt, people get wounded and injured. And if not, even if it's just a psychological injury from these people, it's not good. You don't want to injure people. When you're in a relationship, you want to stand by that person. But for some strange reason, these days, it's not all that simple. Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, Theologist, New South Wales, Australia. Bye for now.